Good morning. How is everyone? I am so sorry that I missed you yesterday, but I'm back and I'm feeling much better. Thank you all so much for your kind wishes for me to feel better. I'm sure that that's what helped me kick this so quickly. I'm Anna Walker, otherwise known as FELTit, and usually you see me creating with felt and fiber art, but for the last several weeks and for the next 2 weeks, yes, that's right, there's only 2 more weeks before we go on spring break, summer break. I've been coming to you at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday with an Internet Create Date, an art lesson with Anna. And today's lesson is going to be a very fun wind catcher that we can either use indoors or outdoors. And let's get started. I'm going to move the camera down. Hi, Miss Myra. Okay, so I had this really wild and fun piece of scrapbooking paper cardstock. You can use regular cardstock and you can decorate it with crayons, markers, whatever you want. I'm going to use this. I won't recommend paper. You need to have cardstock for this because we need to have some structure for it to hang on to so that it can hold the weight of the yarns that we're using at the bottom. We also need to have some string. We need to have a pair of scissors and a hole punch. If you don't have a hole punch, if you're careful, you could use an awl and poke the holes in, but we are going to need some holes along the base. So a hole punch would be best. I'm using double stick tape. You could use glue, you could use packing tape, could use regular tape. Totally up to you, but I've got this, so I'm going to use it. And then I'm going to use some fun yarn, and I think that the colors in this yarn are just going to go smashing with the design of this paper that we've got here. I also have this bottle of glue. Now I have this bottle of glue because I'm going to use it to get the curve in the paper so that it'll come together easier. I'm not using any glue, but I'm having the glue bottle because it's a nice size and I can roll the paper up around it. So I'm going to flip this over on the opposite side. Now, if you have a compass, you would need a pretty big compass to be able to draw the curved lines that we need here. We're just going to use the same piece of string that we're going to use to hang our wind catcher from as our compass, and I'll show you how we'll do that. I'm just going to cut off, it's about a foot of string. That's all we're really going to need. And then I'm going to grab a pen. Now, it can be a pen, it can be a pencil, whatever. You just need to be able to hold the string with the pencil in one hand and hold the other end of the string with your other hand. And what we're going to do is just draw our curve. See how easy that was? And now we need to draw a curve up here at the top too. So I'm shortening up the string, and there's our top curve. Nothing major, we just need to have a curve. And so the first thing is to cut our lines. Now we've been cutting the appropriate way all along since we've been doing art lessons with Anna, and the appropriate way is holding your scissors straight and using your other hand to move whatever you're cutting and to turn it, and that gives you better control over the cut line, gives you better control over the scissors, and it just makes for a smoother line. This is something that I didn't learn until I was a grown-up, okay? I didn't learn the appropriate way to cut when I was a kid, so you're getting a head start on me. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to do the same thing. See how I'm using the hand without the scissors, and I'm holding the scissors straight. So we have our cone shape. Let's get the scraps off over here to the side. Now, before I put my double stick tape on there, I want to go ahead and put a little bit of the curve in here because we're going to have to match this up, and I want to have the paper curved just a little bit to make it a little easier. And I'm putting most of the pressure up here at the top because that's where we need that curve to come in most. And I'm going to do it from both sides. I'm just holding it nice and tight right up here at the top. It'll make it a little easier for us to get that curve in, because we're going to bring this around and we're going to match this up like so, okay? So next up is to put my double stick tape on. And I'm just going to take a nice long strand. Now, the reason I like this red line tape, call it red line tape because it's got red plastic over it. And that's because it keeps the sticky part of the tape nice and controlled so that I can lay it down wherever I need to. I don't have to worry about my fingers sticking to this because it's got a plastic covering here. And then when I wrap it around and match it up, I know that it's going to come together the way I want it to. And I'm going to be able to turn this so that it matches up the way I want it to. And I'm just going to peel. This is the tricky part, is sometimes peeling. See how it's got that plastic? I don't know if you can see the tape there, but it's there, right underneath that plastic. And so I take that plastic off, and then I can take and wrap my paper around, match it up where it needs to be matched up, and just press it down. I'm going to put my hand on the inside. And there we've got our cone, okay? So the first part of our wind catcher is done. We're ready to go. This is going to be a quick project today, friends. The next thing I'm going to do is poke some holes in with my hole punch. And I like to go up all the way, the depth of the hole punch. And I'm just punching these holes randomly, and my hole punch doesn't always make a loud noise. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. I'm not measuring this. I'm just going around about the same amount of distance, and I'm just poking those holes in. And these are the holes where we're going to put the yarn. And because I'm using the full depth of the hole punch, I don't have to make sure that I've measured appropriately to come up the side, because it's doing the measuring for me. And there's our last one. And so now we have our holes all the way around, and we can set this aside, gather up my little punchies. Now, if you have some use for confetti, you can always save your hole punch punchies in a baggie, and then if you have a party or a special event coming up, you've got confetti that you can throw around. And I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, yes, I encourage your kiddos to make some confetti and to keep it on hand. I just forgot. We need one more set of holes, and that one more set of holes is up here at the top. I am just pressing the top of our wind catcher down so that I've got a nice connection here, and I'm going to put in one hole right up here at the top if I can punch it through, and I did, and that is where our string's going to go to hang it from. And I'm just going to thread my string through there. And you can thread it through doubled if you want to. Totally up to you. And maybe one nice way to do that is to tie a knot, an overhand knot in one end so that you've got a loop there. And then you can slide the loop through and pull the knotted end through the loop. And that way it's connected right there at the top, and now you have a way to hang your wind catcher. All right, so let's measure some yarn. And by measure, I mean whatever length you want it to be. There can be some short and some long. They can all be long. I do know that I'm going to use an awful lot of yarn here. So I'm going to pull a lot down here because we are going to have, and you can use yarn, you can use ribbons, you can use anything you've got on hand. But I'm just going to take, let me find the bottom here so that the strings will come together. I'm just going to take and make a bunch of strands about the same length, and I'm going to do this several times. I'm going to cut off there, I'm going to cut this loop, I'm going to cut that loop, and then I'm going to cut these loops at the bottom. And this will be our first batch of danglies that are going to go through. Now I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to poke that half. Nope, I remember I'm doing it the wrong way. Poke that half from the top side down to the underneath, pull the loops through, and then pull my dangles through the loops, and that gives us our really fun dangles, okay? So let's do that a lot of different times in a lot of different lengths, because I think it's fun to vary the lengths of our loops. And again, you can measure this. If you need to have all of your loops be the same length, absolutely measure it. You know me by now, I'm a fan of that free form kind of thing. And I like the randomness of having different lengths on there. And so again, we're going to find the center of it. We're going to push the center of all the loops through the hole, bring the loop around. See how we've got the loop there? And pull the ends through the loop, and then pull it down snug. So we're just doing a half hitch knot. That's what that's called. And let's go on and do our next batch. So I've got some ribbon here, and we can play with the ribbon too. But with ribbon, depending on how thick it is, I'd probably only do a single loop on there, because ribbon's going to be a lot thicker than what the yarn is that I'm using. So let's make, pardon me, let's make 2 ribbons that are going to come in here. Now, using ribbon, you see how the bottom of this ribbon has got sort of a fishtail and this one's straight? I like the fishtail, so I'm just going to cut a fishtail there. And then I'm going to find the center. Now, this is a lot thicker than our hole, so we might have to fold it up a couple of times to be able to get it through the hole. But once we've got it through, it's the same thing. Now with the ribbon, especially a thicker ribbon like this, that's got a little body to it, or that's stiffer, be careful that you don't pull it out too far and that you don't pull too tightly, because it could rip your hole out, okay? So I'm being very careful to just thread each of my tails through the loop that I pulled through. I'm trying to thread my tails. There we go. So I've just threaded the tails through the loop, and I'm being very careful pulling them down, and I just want to snug it up really carefully. And I can pull on one, pull on the other, and so it's a looser knot, but that gives us a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest there too. And I'm going to turn this around to like the other side, and I'm going to put this one in. Now again, we've got an angle here but flat there, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut that angle, find the center, fold it up so that it'll go through the hole, and then poke it through my hole here that I've made, find my loop on this side and open it up, and then put my tails through the loop. It's a little tricky working with a stiffer ribbon there, and so you might have to fiddle with it a little bit. Now if it's really, really loose like this, pull it back through here so that the loop comes closer. And if you pull up from here and then down, you won't pull out that hole. So we've got some interest with some ribbons here. Let's grab another ribbon. I have this pretty organza ribbon here. And even though it's not in the same colors, I think it's going to add a little sparkle. And we've got some sparkle in here. So again, I'm cutting my angle here, finding the center, and let's put this one right here. Now because it's organza, it's not as stiff as the other ribbon that we use, okay? So you can use any kind of strings, any kind of ribbons that you've got on hand. Just use what you have and give yourself permission to play with things a little bit. Now I have this really thick ribbon, and while I think it would look cool, it is really, really too thick to use. So let's go back and let's make some more pieces, make some more fringes out of our yarn. And this is really a project where you can decide how much attitude and how much interest your project is going to have by how many fringes you put on. and by what you decide to do with those fringes. Now, if you wanted to add some beads to your fringe, absolutely go for it. What you would want to do is make sure that your bead that you're using had a wide enough hole for your ribbon or ribbons or yarn to go through, and then you'd poke it through. I'm going to use this as an example, but if you wanted to have beads on here, probably have to fold it in half at the end to get those two pieces to come together, and then find a way to get that poked through your hole and then pull it out the other end, and you'd have to tie a knot down here at the bottom. And you can either tie, you know, a knot with the two of them together, like an overhand knot, or you could tie a surgeon's knot and go back and forth. But you would want to tie a knot that's big enough that it'll hold the bead on, but you can certainly add beads to the bottom part of your ribbons or your yarns. Totally a cool option. Don't have beads? Well, do you have straws? Cut up some straws. Ah, there you have beads. It's that easy. All right, so we've found our center. We're going to come in and we're going to poke it through on the top side, pull it through the underneath, find our loop, and pull our tails through the loop. And we've got another couple to do, but I hope this gives you an idea of something fun that you might be able to do, because Mother's Day is coming up, and I don't know about you, but I like to make sure that I remember my mom. Even as old as I am, I like to remember my mama, and this would be a really fun way to make a Mother's Day gift. And that leads me to tell you that next week is going to be all about making Mother's Day gifts. Now, it might be a mother's mama that you're giving it to. It might be an auntie that you're giving it your gift to. It might be a grandma. Or my name is Grana to my grandkids. It might be your dad who takes the place of your mom, or your grandpa. Being a mom is just caring about the people in your lives and caring about the people who took care of you when you were little and as you're growing up. I'm so grateful for my mom even now as a grown-up, and I'm glad that she and I have been able to become friends as I become a grown-up. And I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to spend time with her, and sometimes, you know, to treat her to a little bit extra that she doesn't think she should have, but I think she should have. And this would be something extra that would be fun to do for your mom or your grandma or your auntie. And we've just got a few more to do here. I'm going to pull out some more string. This is really a yarn, but it can be used like a string because it is so thin. I mean, we could have used this up at the top as our hanger for our wind catcher. And we're just pulling these through, just making sure that they're all roughly the same length. Do they have to be the same length? No, you could have different, you know, lengths on each of your fringes. Totally up to you. The one thing that I hope that you've learned from me being here these past several weeks is that Miss Anna doesn't believe in saying no to creativity. And that means that if you want to try something, you want to do something, I'm going to say, heck yes, go ahead and do that. I think that sounds like a great idea. You should totally do that. I tighten up these just a little bit more because they're poking the wrong way. There we go. That'll help out. Okay, so we just need 3 more and we've got this done. But I would really love it if you guys would leave me a note about some of the projects that you've enjoyed the most when we've been creating these past several weeks. I want to make sure that you know that the videos are available for all of the projects that we've done on Art Lessons with Anna, and you can watch them over the summer. I am going to take a break during the summer because I've got to get to my regular job, which is teaching felting and helping people learn how to find their creativity with felt. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break during the summer, but that doesn't mean you can't have an art lesson with Anna, because the lessons are all on my YouTube channel. And I will post a link here in the comments and on my Anna Walker Designs page on Facebook, what the YouTube channel address is, so that you can look at any of those lessons that we've done at any time, and you can go over them if you've got questions or you can't remember how to do something. And those lessons are going to be there forever. So you will be able to create even during the summertime. And while this next week I'm going to focus on Mother's Day projects, I think the following week I'm going to take a look at some things that we can work on now and into the summer. Some outdoor projects maybe that you can do in your backyard, or that you can do if you're able to take a walk in the park, being safe with your masks on, or that you can do even on your front porch or your back porch. So I'm going to do Mother's Day gifts next week. And then the week after, we will be doing summer fun stuff. I think I just dropped a bead. That was that clitter clatter. All right, this is our last fringe. And then we will have our project for today done. And I hope that you've had fun creating today. Again, I'm sorry I missed you yesterday, but thank you for all of the get well wishes. Excuse me. One last fringe here, and they're splitting up, so I got to squeeze them in a little bit more. Go through the hole that we punched. Find our loops. Make sure we've got all of them together. I had one that was going the wrong way. Pull our fringe through the loop and then pull down, and we have our wind catcher ready to go. I'm going to turn the camera up. So see, we've got our very fun wind catcher ready to go. You can use this indoors, you can use this outside, you can add beads to it. You can do whatever you want with this. If you wanted to, you could take and you could knot up, connecting the fringes on there, sort of macrame, but all kinds of fun stuff that we can do. And I am so glad that you've been here with me these past several weeks. And I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks that we'll be creating together before we take our summer break. Now tomorrow, we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to give you a little hint. We're going to make a couple of musical instruments. We're going to make a pan flute, and we're going to make a little drum that you can roll between your hands and make the drum sound. So I will see you later. I'm so glad that you joined me today, and thank you for being here. If you want to make sure that you get the supply list, go to stabthingsintoexistence.com and make sure that you sign up with your email to get the supply list for next week. That'll be coming out probably Saturday. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow and next week and the week after. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, friends.